welcome to Fun&Gun. Got something really cool on the table for you today, but before we get to that, I want to say a big thanks to Sealy Optics for bringing me on as an affiliate of their brand. If you're looking for a good red dot sight and you don't want to break the bank, you can use the link in my description below there to open up their website and use code Fun&Gun at checkout to get 10% off nearly everything on their website. That's also going to help out the channel a little bit there. So let's go ahead and get into what we got here today. This is going to be an Alpha Foxtrot Romulus 3.5-inch barrel with the port. Now this is the true 3.5-inch gun, because if you get the one with the comp, it's going to be closer to the overall size of a 4 1/4 gun. So this is the baby Romulus, if you will. And I also want to say a big thanks to Andy at Alpha Foxtrot for sending this gun out for this video. And he didn't tell me I couldn't say anything. So either way, you're getting an honest review regardless. So let's go ahead and lock this open and show you there's nothing in the magazine. There is nothing in the chamber either. And I'm going to go ahead and set the gun off to the side, and we'll go over what it comes with first here. So you're going to get a Checkmate 17-round magazine. You're going to get the Alpha Foxtrot soft case here, kind of a greenish color with some tan accents for the straps. You're going to have a leather Alpha Foxtrot patch stitched onto the middle there. You got a place for the pistol on the inside here. You got your lawyer lock, your warranty card, your owner's manual, the tool to mount your optic, and a few screws there. You're going to have an RMR footprinted plate with the rear sight still on it. You're going to have a place for multiple magazines on the inside there. And then you're going to get a 20-round magazine. Now this one is not branded Checkmate, but I'm assuming seeing as it comes with a 17-round Checkmate, this is also a Checkmate magazine. It also looks just like every other Checkmate magazine I have, with the exception of this having this nice aluminum mag base on it here. And it's got these little notches cut out of it to give you some good traction on it if you want to do a reload. So if you want to carry this as your spare mag, you're going to have a total of thumbs on you with the 2 magazines included with this gun. So let's go ahead and set the bag off to the side here. And I'll go ahead and bring that the 20-round mag back in. Like I said, it is empty. And as you can see there, that's what it looks like sticking out of the bottom of the gun. Just to give you a little bit of an idea. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start off at the bottom of the gun, work our way up. Then I'm going to bring in some guns as a comparison to the size of this to kind of give you a rough idea. And then we'll also go ahead and show you some slow-mo footage of how well the port here actually works. And then we'll go ahead and close out the video after that. So let's go ahead and start off on the bottom of the gun with the mag well here. You do get a nice aluminum mag well. It's not too large, not too small, kind of a tactical size mag well here that is well fit and blended to the gun. It's not going to move around on you there at all. And you also have these little scalloped out areas that are going to correspond with the ones on the Checkmate magazine here. So if you do have to strip the mag, you're going to have something to get a hold of there and have the space to do so. So you can go ahead and strip the mag out, which is a nice feature to have there. And the cool thing is they went ahead and kind of beveled these edges off so it's not going to dig in your hand when you slap the mag in on a reload, like I have had happen with some other guns I have reviewed on the channel here. So overall, nice mag well. It's going to move us on to the grip here. And I will say the grip feels pretty nice in the hand. And for my small hand size, I wear a medium-sized glove. The front side of this is a little bit broad, just kind of wide the way it feels. Not too bad, took me a minute to get used to, but not a big deal. On the front strap here, you do have a nice checkering pattern here that gives you plenty of traction on the front. You also have some checkering on your mainspring housing on the back right here. And then you're just going to have this kind of line pattern on the sides, which doesn't look like it would be too grippy, but I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't have any problems with this gun moving around in my hand on the range. That's going to go ahead and bring us to how it fits in the hand here. You do have a little bit of a kind of tapered in spot right here. It's going to be a little bit smaller, so it's not quite as broad as the bottom here, which works out nice because I've been around the channel for a little while. I have broken this finger before. So guns where it's real wide like that, my finger doesn't like to wrap around them. So the fact that spot is a little narrower right there allows that finger to wrap around nicely. So I do appreciate that. It is also not textured right there, so it's not going to tear up your hand when you're shooting the gun. It is undercut and is also double undercut, so you can get your hand nice and high on the gun. So you get an overall nice grip on this firearm. And it's going to bring us to the back side right here. And I will say that the way this is molded and everything, it is nice and well fit to the gun. There's no gaps or anything. Doesn't open up any hot spots either. So let's go ahead and move up to the grip safety here. This grip safety is stupid smooth. It doesn't have any drag in it at all. It's not too tight, not too loose. It's got a nice feel to it. Didn't have absolutely any issues with that deactivating when I was shooting the gun. So as always, I do usually prefer not to have the grip safety, but if it's going to have one, I prefer for it to obviously be set up right, and this one is done so. And it also has the memory bump there that goes ahead and make sure you do press in nicely. None of the edges on the grip safety right there dig in your hand like I have had happen with some other guns. So nicely fit grip safety there. It's also kind of tapered off right here, so if you got large hands, it's going to clear your thumb right there. So really nice grip safety there. So let's go ahead and move up to the manual safety here. And it is, as you can see there, ambidextrous. Now, these are more of a carry style paddle setup. They're not too large, and They are roughly the same size. It does look like the one on the right-handed shooter or the left side of the gun is going to be just a smidge wider than the one on this side, and that's probably mainly going to be due to the fact it has to bump out a little bit right there to go ahead and clear the housing right here for the spring and the detents that activates the safety there. Now I will say that the right side safety is nice and tight to the gun. That is also something I've messed with on other guns, that you'll get them brand new and that just jiggles all over the place and you got to go in there and fix that yourself. So nicely fit safety. You can rest the full weight of the gun on the safeties without it popping on, so you're not going to have an issue knocking on when you're shooting. It's also positive in the upward position. So nice safety overall. Let's go ahead and move on to the slide release, which is something else I really like on this gun because it is large and it's swept back out of the way of where your thumb wants to naturally land at on the side of this gun. So for me, that is a really nice feature there, and it also makes it real easy to go ahead and find that when you're doing a reload. The way I reload, I come up and flick it with my thumb and then go back into the grip. Everybody does it different. That's just how I choose to do so. Now I will say, I'm not 100% sure what's up with this, but the finish is kind of coming off that a little bit right there and right there. I guess that's where I've been drawing it out of a holster. I have used this in a concealment holster. We'll get into what holsters I've been using this with in a minute. So before we get into that, let's go ahead and move down here to the magazine release. And I will say, when I first got this gun from him, I got to messing with it and it was real tight, and the magazine, you had to really press the button in to get it to drop. It wasn't so much not smooth like the magazine out and everything. It was just the finish on the bottom side of the magazine. You could feel it kind of rubbing on that part of the mag, and the more I've used it, that's not an issue anymore. So that just broke in nicely, so you got a nice smooth magazine release. Now, I will say I would have preferred it to be threaded for the larger button. That's always a pet peeve of mine, and I will say on this one, I would have preferred it to be maybe just a little bit longer so you get a little bit more leverage on it to make sure the magazine does drop, but not a big deal. So that's going to bring us on to the trigger on this gun, which right out of the box is pretty awesome. Now that's going to be another one of those things when you got small hands. This is set up for somebody with normal hands, like I mentioned with the grip. So like I said, gun is unloaded. My finger is kind of setting in this position because this is a medium style grip, but as you can see there in the intro, I can shoot this gun pretty good even with this trigger in it. So you got just a touch of take up in the trigger there. Nice crisp break. And a nice positive reset. The trigger is plastic, so the fact that it is plastic, that allows them to set the trigger at a little bit lower poundage without having to worry about it not resetting properly because it is so light. And that being said, this gun does have a really awesome trigger right out of the box. Yeah, I think it was 2.5 pounds. I'll insert that off to the side there. I had a few different. 2.5 pounds was the best I got, and I had a few that was like 2.1 or 2.10 ounces. Either way, trigger is sub 3 pounds right out of the box. Nice crisp, has a nice positive reset on it. And like I'll always say, if you want it to be heavier, if you want it to be lighter than that for some reason, you can go into the mainspring housing and, tune that yourself. Now, obviously that's going to void the warranty, but you can do that. It also does have a over travel adjustment screw right here in the front. And I do not believe you have any way of adjusting the pre-travel on the inside either, but not a big deal. Like I said, just got a little bit of take up, and on a carry gun, that is a nice thing to have. And it's going to bring us to the bottom of the gun right here. You're going to have 4 pick rails, so you can mount pretty much anything you want on the bottom now without a problem there. And let's go ahead and go up to the slide serrations here. And this is kind of the standard Romulus slide serrations. I think they look pretty cool, and they work very well. And they match on the front and the back, other than the back one's going to have a little bit cut off, obviously, where the optics plate is mounted to. So slide serrations work really well. And the fact that this has a different DLC coating than the original Romulus 5-inch that you see me review on the video, this is not, number one, it's not going to be quite as much of a fingerprint magnet, and it's more of a tactical looking gun, something that most people would carry, when I feel like kind of the shiny one's more of a competition style gun. And from what I understand, Andy was kind of telling me that the reason he went to this not shiny finish was so he could get the guns out faster, because the other finish was taking like 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. So you get these quite a bit faster, and it's still a good DLC finish. It's going to be durable. As you can see there on the barrel, I've put about 300 or 400 rounds through this gun, if not more at this point, and the finish on it hadn't even started wearing off yet. So it is a nicely done DLC coating. While we're talking about the slide, it is just extremely smooth. Nothing wrong with that there. It is also got just a little bit of play in it, but that's not a big deal, especially on a carry gun. You want a little bit more space for trash to get in there. You start getting into those really tight fit guns when they start getting dirty, you have the potential of them not running properly. Gonna have a nice fit barrel on this gun. As you can see there, it is pointy accurate in the intro there of me messing with it. Now the way this port works, it's kind of more of a comp than it is a port to the fact that the end of the barrel is actually not rifled. So it is more kind of similar to a port. It just doesn't have anything on the front to trap the gas and force it up. So I guess it would still be considered a port. At least that's what they call it. So that is how that is done. And as you can see there, if you didn't see it a second ago, you do got pretty good size port cut out of the front of the barrel there. And as you'll see here later on in the video, it actually works very well. So let's go ahead and move up to the top here. You're going to have some serrations right here to cut down on glare for using the iron sights. On the front, you're going to have a night vision sight there. It's going to have a tritium vol or whatever you want to call it on the inside there with some green around the outside, so it's nice and bright if you do choose to just use the iron sights. And your rear sight's going to be just blacked out. And like I said, if you put the RMR footprinted plate on here, you're not going to lose that rear sight. Now I will say, if you get too much larger than this Cat X Pro from Sealy on there, it's got a little notch cut through it, you're going to lose your co-witness, which is kind of not cool. But the fact that with this little dot you can still co-witness is really nice. Now when I say co-witness, you're just getting the top of the sight right there, but the fact you can do it with this dot is, like I said, that's nice. But would have liked to see them maybe just a touch higher, so if you do put other dots on here, you'd still be able to see over them. Let's see here. So that kind of covers the whole top side of the gun, most of the gun there. Let's go ahead and bring in a few guns as a comparison in size here. So the first gun we're going to bring in here is going to be my 4 1/4 Bull SASTAC here. And right there, size-wise, you can see how much longer this gun is going to be than the 3.5 inch Romulus here. It'll come to me in a second. So that is going to be it compared to a 4 1/4. And then this is going to be kind of more something that most people is going to have access to. And we'll go ahead and show you this gun is unloaded. And this is going to be representing a Glock 45, which is going to be the 17 grip and the 19 slide. And if I can get these to line up. Now, as you can see there, the slide on the Glock is definitely longer, but overall size with the beaver tail and everything on these two guns are almost identical in size. I'll go ahead and lay them on top of each other here. And that shows you the grips are pretty much the same size. You get the same amount of rounds in both of them, but you're going to get a significantly better trigger being a 1911 or a 2011 style gun here. So that is going to be a little bit of size comparison. We'll go ahead and talk about the holsters I was using in this video. This is the holster that you have been around the channel. I just did a video on this the other day. This is going to be from Buck's Holsters. This is their antler holster, and this is my custom one for the Fun and Gun channel here. And this is made for a Staccato XC, and as you can see, this gun fits in it just fine. Obviously, you're going to have some extra space there on the end, but this was the one you see me using in the intro there to do that. And then I have messed around with this a little bit, but you didn't see me shooting it any. This is going to be the holster that I use to carry the Bull that I just showed you a second ago. And this is a Alien Gear Cloak Tuck. I think it's a 3.5, and I've cut it out where you can fit a red dot in there because they don't offer that. And this was actually made for a Staccato P Duo, I believe, before, or Staccato P. As you can see, this gun fits in it just fine as well. So this would be the holster I would carry this style gun in. So not going to be a problem finding a holster this gun fits in. It might be a little bit longer than the gun. I'm sure you can find some of them shorter that's going to fit it just properly there, but that is the holsters I have and have been using. They work just fine. So let's go ahead and show you the footage of the slow-mo of me shooting this gun with the port here to give you an idea how that works, and then we'll come back and we'll go ahead and close out the video here. Like always, I like to go ahead and say that's definitely not the most scientific test you're ever going to see, by no means. But what it does do, in my opinion, is get the idea by that this port right here is working. It's actually working pretty darn good, in my opinion, because as you can see there, you are getting roughly 2 inches of muzzle rise out of this little gun, which puts it right on par with some of the larger guns that I have shot using that chart. So to me, that's pretty cool. And just overall shooting this gun in general, especially when you're shooting it fast, you can feel that this port is doing its thing. So overall, the port works very well on this little gun. So what we're going to go ahead and talk about now is a few issues I had initially kind of breaking the gun in. The first one happened within the first mag or two of shooting the gun here, and that is going to be with the two-stage guide rod here. And this part right here is actually threaded into the base down there in the bottom of the gun right here. And what happened was this part just kind of started backing out and it was no longer flush with the front of the gun. So what I did was come back inside here, go ahead and break the gun down and easily thread that the rest of the way apart, making sure not to shoot it across the room because it is under spring tension. Excuse me. I went ahead and wiped off the threads and put a little bit of blue Loctite on there, and then there is actually a little bitty hole running through the front side of your guide rod right there. I went ahead and stuck something in there and just kind of torqued it down a little bit, and the gun now has 300 to 400 rounds through it. I hadn't had a single issue with it since then, so that is something you just want to go ahead and make sure you keep an eye on it when you're either breaking the gun in, or just go ahead and check it before you go out and shoot, and just go ahead and just put your little Loctite on there and tighten it up just to be sure you're good to go. And then the next issue was going to be with this MagTech ammo, which is the ammo that I shot in a majority of the video here and in the slow motion there as well. And I had a few of them within the first 50 to 100 rounds not fully eject and kind of get stuck right here in between the chamber and the breech face right there. And like I said, that only happened maybe 4 or 5 times within the first 100 rounds. And after the gun kind of loosened up and I kept shooting it, I didn't have that issue at all after that. So just something you want to be mindful of. I never recommend carrying a gun until you've at least put at least 100 rounds through it. I know people that just take them right out of the box and think they're good to go. And in my opinion, you want to make sure it's good to go because everything is obviously man-made, so there is the probability of having something that might happen. So I'd rather find out now than later when I need the gun the most. So in my opinion, at least put 100 rounds through it. Now, if you can't afford 100 rounds when you first get the gun, just put at least 50 rounds through it. Shoot it at all to make sure that it is going to function, because you don't want to get into a situation and your gun not working. That's with any gun. So overall, after I got the gun broken in, got that part tightened up, this has been an extremely reliable gun. Hadn't had any issues with it within the last 300 rounds or so. So really nice gun. It has got very smooth, has a extremely good trigger on it. Everything is fit nicely on this gun. Shoots very well. And with this being a 3.5 inch overall length gun here, it actually has a nice weight to it for carrying it. And that is something I do plan on doing with this gun if I actually end up getting to keep it, because I feel like this is an excellent little carry gun. And I feel like if you pick one of these up, you're going to like it quite a bit. And that's all I had for you today. Okay, if you made it this far, I just want to say thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. If you're looking for more Fun&Gun right now, you can click one of the 2 recommended videos there. If you're looking for more Fun&Gun later, you can go ahead and click that there subscribe button. I sure would appreciate it. And if you're finding me from Facebook, go ahead and click that open app button at the top to make all that a lot easier, and I'll see you next time.